Well, good morning, everyone. It is so good. How are we doing? Are we good? All right. Welcome to those of you who are on any of our campuses. We are thinking about you. If you're watching online, locally, somewhere in the country, somewhere in the world, you are also part of who we are. So thanks for being here. And man, it's just seriously good when we get together. I don't know how this goes for you, but I got to tell you, I look forward to Sundays. I look forward to the opportunity for us to be together. So glad that you're here. I want to begin. Have you ever tried to say something and it just didn't quite communicate what you tried to say? And the answer is yes, okay? You know, churches can screw this up too, by the way. A friend of mine sent me a list of some things that churches had put on bulletin boards. You know, sometimes you'll see it on a sign in front of a church, you'll see it on a bulletin board, you'll see it in a bulletin. But I want to share with you some things that churches published that should never have been published, okay? And you'll follow along, you'll catch on here. These are just like one-lines. Ms. Charlene Mason saying, "I will not pass this way again," giving obvious pleasure to the congregation. So glad she's gone. She'll never be this way again. Diana and Don, last name withheld, request your presence at their wedding. Please don't come without presents. It's really important to us. The beautiful flowers on the altar this morning are to celebrate the birth of David Allen Belzer, the sin of Reverend and Mrs. Julius Belzer. Here's another one. During the absence of our pastor, we enjoyed the rare privilege of hearing a good sermon when J.F. Stubbs supplied the pulpit. All right. Fifth one. Remember in prayer the many who are sick of our church and community. Let's not forget them, whatever we do. The eighth graders will be presenting Shakespeare's Hamlet in the church basement on Friday at 7 p.m. The congregation is invited to attend this tragedy. It's really bad, man. It's really bad. I appreciate your support. Weight Watchers will meet at 7 p.m. Please use the large double doors at the entrance. Did you really mean to say it that way? And then this one, the Low Self-Esteem Support Group will meet Thursday at 7 to 8:30 p.m. Please use the back door. We reserve it for you. Ladies, don't forget the rummage sale. It's a chance to get rid of those things not worth keeping around the house. Bring your husbands. Good place to get rid of them. And then lastly, at the evening service tonight, the sermon will be What is Hell? Come early and listen to our choir practice. You'll get the idea. So we're in a series right now in which we're talking about relationships. And we're asking the question, what's it like to be on the other side of you? What is it like to relate to you? What is it like to be your friend? What is it like to be your spouse? What is it like to be your son? What is it like to be your daughter? Whatever. The whole idea is just this idea of relationships. And we're talking about different aspects of relationships. We're not doing it just about marriage. We're not doing it just about single. We're not talking about just students in school. We're talking about just the way we interject our lives into other people's lives, the way we relate to one another. And that's kind of the idea behind this. Now, I want to say this. Deep within every one of us is a need to be in a relationship. If you don't have any friends, something's wrong, okay? Something's broken. You were made to be in a relationship with people, all right? But each and every one of those relationships thrives on the idea of communicating, okay? And to the degree that you can communicate, that's the degree that your relationship is going to be rich, all right? So to communicate, we all have a need to express our thoughts. We all have a need to be heard when we express our thoughts. We all have a need to express, to be heard, and to be understood. And all of us have that responsibility to give that to our friends, the people that matter to us in our life. So all of this give and take is called communicating, all right? It's just communicating. There's in so many ways, this is a very, very basic message, but I promise you it's a message we should hear. I promise you this is a message that we should think about. And I'm going to show you some of the things the Bible says about this. This is not a typical Bible study per se, but I want to give you some insight that I hope will make your relationships richer. So that's where we're going to go today. Now, I want to say this. When you first said your first word, whenever that was, whatever that word was, mama, dada, mine was probably the first word that came out of your mouth. Anyway, When you first said that first word, people jumped for joy. People were like, he did it, she did it, we're so proud. And man, they threw a party because you said your first cohesive word. As challenging as getting that first word out, I want to say this: learning to communicate effectively is nothing. It's many times over more difficult than that first challenge. But nobody celebrates it. If you're a good communicator, people don't jump up and down and celebrate and throw you a party, but it's much harder. And I want to challenge you to think about the ways in which you communicate. I want to say this, I've already said it. If you want rich relationships, you got to learn how to speak. You got to learn how to communicate. The quality of your friendships, the quality if you're dating somebody, if you're married, how you communicate, if you're a parent, if you're an employee, all of those things are crucial that you know how to communicate. So here's a couple of big ideas I want to throw at you, all right? Your ability to communicate effectively determines the quality of the life that you live. I don't care who you are. I don't think we typically think about this, but that's a true sentence. The ability that you have to get across your ideas and understand somebody's ideas, that's the quality of your life. And here is the big one I want to draw. I want you walking out here going, Pastor said, okay, here it is, ready? Bad communication destroys good relationships. Bad communication destroys good relationships. Every one of us have people in our past that are in the wake of our life. They're back there in the wake, bobbing up and down. We left them behind, and the truth of the matter is we miss them, and we would be better off if we would have been able to work out whatever it was that broke us apart. And it's the ability to communicate. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I want to say this. There's challenges to communicating. Obviously, one of the all-time challenges that forever has been an issue has been distance. When you're nowhere near the people, it's very difficult. So in the past, they developed the ability to send carrier pigeons with messages or smoke signals or Morse code or any of that kind of stuff. But in our day and age, there is no distance between us anymore. I mean, literally, we have email. You can put your ideas in an email. You can put them in a text. You can instant message. Obviously, this would be the tool that most of us just rely on this. We carry this with us. You can reach anyone in the world on this thing just instantaneously. And so we carry these things and we rely on these things. The weird thing is we bring these things with us wherever we go, whether it's appropriate or not. Like people, you'll see it in the theater. Hush your phone. You'll hear it in a... Hang on a minute. I got to take this. Yeah, really bad time. Okay, I'm really sorry. I'll get back to you, okay? Okay, cool. Okay, now that was totally bogus. That meant nothing. But here's what I want you, we've all experienced that, yes? And whatever was happening before that phone rang, we lost it. And you had somebody, and I did that on purpose. I turned my back on you because that's typically what you do. You walk away. We ought to, as technology has advanced and we can communicate effectively and efficiently, we ought to be like unbelievably good at communicating by now. But the truth is we're not. And as the technology's moved on, we just seem to struggle with the same issues. So I want to challenge that, and I want us to wrestle with this. Now, I'm going to ask you to think about things that are simple today. These are not complex, okay? These are simple, but here's the problem. We've lost it. So what's the problem? Well, the first problem is distance. Solve that problem. The second problem is to communicate, you don't only, but you often use words. Words. And here's what I need to remind you about words. Words are powerful. Words are powerful. Words can do great harm. They're powerful. And I'm sure that, from the time you were a little kid, somebody said something to you that just crushed your soul. And you know what you did? You came home and you told your mom and your dad, you know what Johnny said? He said, and then your mom or your dad said this little thing, sticks and... That is a lie from the pit of hell. Just so you know, your parents lied to you. But they have to, come on, it's okay. Don't let it hurt you so bad. Because we know it hurt us, and it hurt us really deeply, hurt us really, really badly. Job, if you know the story of Job, he's afflicted. He's got 3 friends that are comforting him, trying to cheer him up. You know what he said? How long will you torment me and crush me with words? What you're saying is not helping, is what he's saying. You're not helping. All of us have been the recipient of words that have hurt us deeply. And I don't know what the words are, but I'll tell you what, you go away and you think about it, get a journal and write down what people have said to you that you've had to overcome. Why can't you be more like? You're never going to amount to anything. Or the most deadly one, I don't love you anymore. We've all been there. And I don't know what your circumstance is. There's a whole lot more. Okay, words are powerful because they can hurt. And they can also bless. You've all also been the recipient of very kind words that you have held on to as tight as you know how. You know what? You're unbelievably good at this. You know what? I think you could do this for a living. You know what? Positive, affirming words that have lifted you up. I am so privileged to be your friend. Thank you. You go, what? You bless my life. Okay, so Proverbs 15:23 says, a man finds joy in giving an apt reply. And how good is a timely word? Yes. Thank you for saying that kind thing you said. Proverbs 25:11, a word aptly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. Just picture the image. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Also, by the way, just so you know, we need to be careful with words. They're very powerful, and they can hurt and they can bless, but we need to be careful. You've heard this expression as well as the other one I just gave you. If you can't say something, don't say anything at all, right? You've heard that. You know what Scripture says? Proverbs 17:27 and 28, the one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. Isn't that interesting? You know how we've turned that into the modern kind of expression, better to be silent and thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. That's what that scripture is saying. Use your words very, very carefully. Now I want to say, and this is, I think, really, really important that I want to communicate to you. Please hear me. The words you use reveal who you are. The words I use tell you who I am. The words I use give you insight into my center, as your words give us insight into your center. Words reveal. Let me take you to the words of Jesus. He said this, they tell a story, your words. Make a tree good and its fruit will be good, or make a tree bad and its fruit will be bad. For a tree is recognized by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you who are evil say anything good? For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in him. You want to know what you're really like? And just listen to what you say. And sometimes we go, oh, wait, that just slipped out. You ever said that? You said something, you go, oh, no. And by the way, this is the fear of every preacher who has ever preached, that something's going to slip out. But here's what I can assure you. Nothing's going to slip out that I did not first allow to slip in. It's true for me, it's true for you. But you want to know what you're about? Listen to the words that come out of your mouth, because you know what everybody else is doing? Listening to the words that come out of your mouth. Now, I want to share something with you. And I'm going to talk more about this in the weeks to come, because we're entering into this incredibly volatile time in our country, and it's very divisive, it's very polarizing. I don't know what political party you align with, I don't know what your values are, but I want to tell you something. As your pastor, I am pleading with you, please pay attention to the words you say, the things you write, the expressions of your heart that come out of you over the next 70 days or whatever it is. In fact, can I remind you of something Jesus said? I think we just blow off. I just think he didn't mean that. He was having a bad day. This is what he said. I tell you that men will have to give account on the day of judgment for every careless word they have spoken. Have you ever just had keyboard courage and just fired off these snappy repartee things that you just, they feel so good. I told them, I set the record straight. Every word. He didn't mean every word, maybe every fifth word. Every word. Be accountable for. That's why Proverbs says, he who guards his lips guards his life, but he who speaks rashly will come to ruin. Don't be goaded into responding. Don't be goaded into anger. Don't be goaded into an argument. Be a person who thinks deeper and goes, you know what, I'm not taking the bait. I'm not falling for that trap. So anyway, what's so hard about communicating? Well, what's so hard about it is that there's distance, but we got past that. So we've got to use words. Those are challenging, but that's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is you got to put your words together with other words. Words with other words form what we call sentences. You don't speak in words, you speak in sentences. And sentences can be confusing. In fact, let me throw some sentences at you. These are grammatically accurate. You're going to go, that made no sense, but they're accurate. You can figure them out for yourself. Here we go. The present is a good time to present the present. Just stare at it. It's accurate. I was going to give you a present. Now is a good time. I got to present it to you. One word used 3 different times in 3 different ways. That's communicating. Here's another one. The dump was so full it had to refuse refuse. What? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. How about this one? They were too close to close the door. Too close to the door to close it. They were too close to the door. They couldn't close it. That's goofy. Here's one of my favorite ones. After a number of Novocaine injections, my jaw got number. It's accurate. It just sounds funny. It's like, what? When you see it written out, it's a problem because words, when you put them together, and then we have these expressions. We never think about this. Do you know that we have expressions that, they're goofy. So if you ask me something, is so-and-so going to happen? And I go, a slim chance. Slim chance. You know what I just told you? The exact same thing as if I'd have said fat chance. You ever think about that? Fat chance, slim chance. It can't be the same. It's exactly the same. If you're ahead of me, go, hey, slow up. I could have said slow down. It would have meant the same thing. Why do we have words that just, really, and people have done all kinds of comedy sketches on that. I'm not here to do that. But we have words that make no sense. We call them apartments, and we stick them all together. If you're going to call them apartments, put them. That would make some sense. We don't do that. If we are sending something, we're going to ship something, and we're going to send it by car or by road. We're going to call it a shipment. It's a shipment. You have a shipment coming. If we put it on a boat, we're going to call it cargo. You drive in a parkway, and you park in a driveway. Folks, it's hard. And for this section over here, y'all, you have your own language, man. Like this Gen Z thing. I don't know if you ever tried to follow any of this, the Riz and cap and no cap and lit and bussin'. What does all that mean? I don't have a clue. But they speak that language. And so that just makes it, so we're putting sentences together and they get the buzzing and just kind of crazy. And then one other thing and then I'm going to move on. Another part that makes it so difficult is how you punctuate a sentence. How you punctuate will ultimately determine how you say a sentence. So one English teacher, an English professor, put, I think, 5 words on the board. She wrote down these 5 words, 6 words, whatever. And she said, okay, class, I want you to punctuate that. So just go to work. Just punctuate it. Interestingly, they found that the men in the class punctuated it this way. Woman without her man is nothing. Now, listen how silent it is right here. Woman without her man is nothing. Women, on the other hand, punctuated it this way. Woman without her man is nothing. What am I trying to tell you? Here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you're going to learn how to communicate, you're not going to do it accidentally. If you're going to learn how to communicate effectively, you're going to have to put some effort. You're going to have to work. But why is it? It's not work. It's too much work. Bad communication destroys good relationships. How many relationships you want to foul up? How many relationships you want to just throw away? How many relationships you want to have crash? How many times do you want to be broken up with? Bad communication destroys good relationships. Now, I want to just state the obvious here. I just want to spend a moment just stating the obvious. To communicate, there's two parts. There's not one part. It takes two to communicate, okay? It takes two. There's the transmission of the message, and there's the receiving of the message. There's the pitch, and there's the catch. Pitcher can't be pitching if there's no catcher because it makes no sense. You're just throwing the ball. The catcher can't just stand out there going, I hope a ball comes by someday. A pitch and a catch. Let's talk about the pitch, transmitting the message. It's all in what you say. We've all done that. We've said something, we go, that's not what I meant. And you go back and you try to correct it. The words you use, the sentences you form, the way you inflect your voice, all of that stuff is going to say something. And sometimes, have you ever had this experience? I have, and I won't give you examples, but man, I say something, I go, that is not at all what I meant to say. And it wasn't, but it came out that way. The art of transmitting is crucial. And by the way, what you actually communicate, people who have studied people come up with, I didn't come up with these numbers. What you say is 7% of your communication. That's referred to the vocal. That's called the vocal part of your communication. The verbal, excuse me. How you say it is 38% of your communication. That's the vocal. So you got the verbal, the words you use, how you said it, and then your facial expression is 55% of your communication. That's the visual. So to communicate, you got verbal, vocal, and visual. And all of us have been the recipient of somebody whose face said one thing, but their words said something totally different. And I don't know if I'm supposed to laugh. Am I supposed to cry? I don't know if I'm supposed to congratulate you or say I'm sorry because it just didn't align. Good communication aligns all of that. And the person's going, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I know why you're saying what you're saying. Here's another huge problem when it comes to transmitting. And again, I'm not going to tell you what you don't know. Women and men are different. Well, duh. But when it comes to communicating, again, I'm not making any of this up. This is just known. Women use many more words than men use. Well, women, they say on average, and this again, I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying women use 25,000 words a day. Men use 10,000. Any problem here? Let's go even further. I'm going to stereotype here, so forgive me. You don't need to email me. I know what I'm doing here. Let me stereotype, okay? We agree it's a stereotype. Let's just say that this particular woman that I'm referring to, she's a homemaker. She has a job. She's taking care of their home, and she takes care of their kids. His job is to go over there to the factory or to go to the business, to the office or whatever his business. So he's over here doing his job. She's over there doing her job. He's over here. He's been in business meetings all day. He has went over problem after problem. He has used up his 10,000 words. And then he goes home. He's done talking. He's worn out. I'm past the limit. She's been here with 2 toddlers. She's used about the same 10 words about 100 times. And so she's used up, let's just say, 1,000 words. So she has 24,000 words to lay on him. And guess what? The expectations are really, really different. On average, a wife will say she needs to spend 45 minutes to an hour each day in meaningful conversation with her husband. You know what a husband says? 10 to 15 minutes twice a week. We'll be good. Now I want to tell you something I think is really sad, but research, okay, it's really sad. The typical U.S. married couple actually spends about 4 minutes a day in meaningful conversation. You want to hear something more sad? They say that the 2 times with your love that you will communicate most is on the 3rd date and in the year before you divorce. Did I mention that bad communication destroys good relationships? And yours won't be the exception, nor will mine. So let's just be clear. To communicate, you have to pitch. You got to say something. You got to throw it out there. That's one part. But throwing it out there, did you communicate if there was nobody there to receive it? Kind of like a tree falling in the forest thing. Did it really make a noise if nobody heard it? If you're talking but nobody's actually hearing or getting it or listening, and here's the problem we've got here, okay? They suggest that all of us suffer from 3 delusions in our life, all of us. And I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. We refer to it as self-serving biases. We all have a tendency to believe 3 things about ourselves. Number 1, that we're better than average at driving, that we're better than average when it comes to our sense of humor, and 3rd, that we're better than average at listening. Yeah, we're better. I mean, we listen better than most people. We hear. We actually, most people wouldn't pick up on this, but we're really sharp, and so we do. You know, it's fascinating to me. Do you know that you will spend, so they say, about 45% of your time listening, about 45% of your time. Our education system has it all backwards. You will be taught to write, which you'll use 9% of the time. You'll be taught to read, which you'll use 10% of the time. You'll be taught to talk, which you'll use about 35% of the time, 30%, excuse me. But you're going to listen 45%. But guess what? There's no classes in listening. Nobody sat down and said, let me explain to you how you listen, all right? This is how, we just assume everyone's going to be good. You know what we ought to do instead of celebrating when your kid says the first word that comes out of their mouth? You ought to blow that one off. That was easy. What you ought to celebrate is the first time you said something and your kid actually heard and listened. Like I said, stop it, and they did. Did you see that? Get the video, man, come on. I said, do it again, so I can say stop again, and we can film it. That's a moment worth remembering. We don't celebrate that. We just assume if I talk, you'll listen, and that is what goes wrong. We've all experienced being misunderstood. I have an expression I use, others use it as well. I say, please don't hear what I'm not saying. Because people tend to hear what they want to hear. Please don't hear what I'm not saying. I can't tell you how many times as a pastor I've been standing outside after giving a message, and somebody will come up to me and say something like this. They'll go, Pastor, that was powerful, man. That really spoke to me. Man, I felt like you were preaching right at me, man. I've heard that so many times. And they'll say, yeah, when you said, and then they'll say something I said, except I didn't say that. Not only did I not say that, I don't even agree with that. I would never say that. That's exactly what they heard. They heard exactly what they wanted to hear, which is not listening. And I got to tell you, folks, we're at a season right now where people are hearing what they want to hear, and they're not listening. You know, another struggle that we all have is, when you're listening, are you know these habits we all have? Like if you're listening to somebody and your eyes are like, jetting all around, which is my ongoing forever problem. I stand out front, I just want to say hi to everybody. And yet, not every conversation, don't put yourself in this, don't do this to yourself. I'm not saying, please hear what I'm not saying, okay? I'm not saying this, but sometimes what will happen is I'm out there, I'm trying to say hi to everybody. I just want to greet everybody. I want to shake everybody's, I just want to say hi. I want a fist bump. And somebody will go, oh, Pastor's out front. I've always wanted a counseling session with him. And they will lay on me some of the heaviest, and I'm going, please not now, please not now. And I don't know how to say it without being rude, but all these people are passing by, and it just, But you can dart your eyes, you can tap, you can look at your watch, you can look at your phone. But just because you're there doesn't mean you're actually listening. Margaret Miller said most conversations are simply monologues delivered in the presence of a witness, which is one person is talking and the other person is simply waiting to talk. Let me take you back to Scripture, James 1:19. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And somebody said this, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth because you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. And your talk should never lead you to anger. Be careful, folks, in the days to come. These next days, be careful. Now, let me just jump on one more thing, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Let me just comment on a couple obstacles to being an effective communicator. One is you don't tell the truth. You don't tell the truth when you're at work. You don't tell the truth to your friends. You don't tell the truth. And you know what we call when you don't tell the truth? We call it a lie, but we don't call it a lie. It was a white lie. It was a little lie. What is a white lie and a little lie? If you're confused, let me help you. It's a lie. However you want to paint it, it's a lie. But here's what happens. When you're known to be a liar, nobody takes you seriously. And Mark Twain said, you got to have the best memory. Because you got to remember all those things you said that were not true, that you just mixed up in your head. It will destroy your ability to communicate if you tell lies. Speak the truth. Do it kindly. Do it in love. But be the kind of person that people will go, he might not tell me what I want to hear, but he'll tell me what I need to hear, because he'll tell me the truth. Be that kind of a person. She'll tell me the truth. Here's the second one. Whenever you're in conversation and you just exaggerate everything, you always, I've told you a million times, all of this destroys your ability to communicate, because you didn't tell me a million times. You told me 4 times. I don't always do anything. I don't never do anything. Just when you use that, be careful, okay? Here's a third one. When you use innuendos, what's an innuendo? I didn't say it, but I kind of implied it. And by the way, can I tell you something today? I'm really happy today. I want this to be known across all of our campuses, online as well. I saw Sean, the associate, lead pastor. I saw him earlier this morning, and I am delighted to let you know he was sober. You don't even know what to do with that sentence right now. You have no, it's supposed to be a joke. He's always sober. I've never seen him not, I don't think Sean has ever not been sober one moment of his life. But what I just said implied something, and you all bit on it. You went, oh, Sean's got a drinking issue? No! I didn't say that. I said I was happy he came sober. I'm happy you came sober, if you did. Don't use innuendo. Innuendos just imply plausible deniability. I didn't really say anything. I didn't say. Here's the fourth obstacle, and then I'm going to give you some things to walk out of here with. Obstacle to communication, the silent treatment. And it gets really quiet here. The silent treatment of every relationship, the silent treatment. I'm just mad. I'm just not going to say anything. And silence is a way to communicate. By the way, just so we're all clear, yes? You communicate in silence. It's a way to get your point across. You communicate. You just use it in a very ineffective way. And by the way, I heard about this one couple. They got into it, and they got into it big. And this thing, they gave each other the silent treatment, and it did not end in a day or two. It was a week into it. And then actually what happened was the guy had to get up at like 5 in the morning to catch a plane to Chicago for a very important business meeting. And his wife was the one who always woke him up early in the morning. So before he went to bed that night, he wrote a note to his wife, please wake me up at 5 a.m. and showed his wife, and she nodded, she would. He woke up the next morning about 9 o'clock, smelling bacon cooking in the kitchen. He was outraged. He so missed his plane. He so missed his meeting. He was ready to let his wife have it. And then he looked on his nightstand, and there was a note. It's 5 a.m. Wake up. Time to get out of bed. Let me just say this, and this again is serious. If you love somebody, there will be one last time you'll get to say that. If you love somebody, there will be one last, I don't know, there'll be one last moment that you have together. Do you really want that moment to pass under the cloak of silence? I don't know what will happen, but one last time before that accident, one last time before that passing in the night, I always try to remember this, and I've been married like 46 years. This same moment, it's really cool. Anyway, but I always try to remember that, and I fail at this, okay? I don't ever want my last words to be angry with my wife. And so we try really hard. She tries really hard as well. And in fact, it's gotten so funny that, sometimes I'll make a little noise when I'm sleeping. I think she calls it snoring. I don't know. But in all fairness, sometimes she will. And you used to get upset, like, I couldn't sleep, you snored. You know what we do now? We just lay in bed when we can't sleep. We just praise God that the other person's breathing. Because one day, they won't be there breathing. And it makes all the difference. Don't let don't let disagreements ruin the richness of your relationships. Thomas Carlyle, he wrote what has been known This has been called one of the saddest sentences in the English language. And it's written in such a way that I'm not sure we're necessarily going to grasp what he was saying, but he wrote all kinds of tributes to his deceased wife. And then he wrote this line. He said, "Oh, that I had you yet for 5 minutes by my side, that I might tell you all, that we could just talk." There's going to be a day when you can't, or a day when the other person can't. Don't spend your days in silence. Okay, now, how are we going to walk out of here? Can I just, I'm going to wrap this message up by I want to suggest a couple of things that can make your communications much better, all right? And you take whatever you want and leave whatever you don't. First thing I'm going to say to you is make sure that you can hear. That seems so obvious. Make sure that you can hear. If you can't hear, you're not going to understand what somebody's saying to you. Make sure that you can hear. There was this one guy who was married to this woman, and he became very concerned about her ability to hear, and he didn't know how to address it with her. He had mentioned to her that maybe she needs some help hearing, but she wasn't having it, and so he was distraught. So he went to his friend next door, and he said, "I don't know what to do, and I don't think she can hear." And he said, "Well, do you know?" "I don't know. I just don't think. It seems like she can't hear me." And so finally, his friend said, "Oh, we'll do a little experiment. Just get about halfway across the room, and actually get all the way. And when she's on the other side of the room, she has her back to you, say something to her." And he didn't know what to say. "Can you hear me?" Or, "Honey, I love you." Whatever he said, there was zero response. So he got a little closer. He said it again, no response. His heart's breaking. He gets right, a quarter of the way away from her, says it the third time. No response. He gets right up behind her and he says, "Honey, I love you." She didn't do a thing. And he goes, and she said, "Okay, seriously, for the fourth time, I love you too." It could be you. My family had an intervention with me. This is straight up true. My family sat down with me in different ways and different times. My staff had an intervention with me. Folks, I don't hear well. I don't hear well. I don't like it. It's just the way it is. I don't hear well. And we're hearing aids, and I probably have offended some people. I don't mean to. I never heard what you said. I never heard you say my name when I walked by you. I didn't respond. But I want to tell you something that happened just this week. Just this week, about 3 or 4 days ago, I was in Idaho at a pastor's gathering of pastors of large churches in America. And we were in this room, and we're sitting around this table, and the guy that was leading that session said, "Listen, you know what?" He said, "I'm just going to tell you something that," he said, I can't stare at screens anymore. He said, "I have a real hard time. I don't prepare near as well as I used to prepare because I can't." And then he said, I'm going to just challenge you all. Let us know something you struggle with." And I thought, well, this is really easy for me. I mean, immediately I would think of my hearing. And so I think I was the second or third person to speak up, and I said, "Well, I got one." And I said, I don't hear well. And I said, settings like this are really hard for me. And I talked about being in a restaurant, often in a lobby, and I said, it's really hard. I don't mean, I can't hear and I don't understand and I feel so. And I said, that's mine. The reason I'm telling you this, you would not believe the number of men that came up to me in that meeting afterwards and said, "I have the exact same problem. Me too." And they said, "I've never been able to admit that to anybody." One woman literally said, "Would you talk to my husband?" when she heard I said that. And if you can't hear, you didn't hear anything I just said, go get your hearing checked. That's the point. Make sure you can hear. Second thing, all right? How do we put all this into practice so it's useful? Second thing, learn to listen, not to fix. Guys, listen to me. I've had to learn this one the hard way. My wife, love that woman. My wife will tell me something, and you don't know this about me, but I like fixing things. I got tools. I have a shop. I love this stuff. And she starts talking to me, and I'll tell you what, mentally, I just check out and go into the shop, start getting the tools. As if she just told me the toilet's overflowing. She's pouring out her heart about a problem, and I'm listening, and I'm going, yeah. And then I just tell her the answer, because I'm that smart. That's tongue in cheek. Don't take me seriously. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I just tell her what you do. I did that so many times to her. Finally, she just said, literally, stop it. I don't need you to fix my problem. I need you to listen as my husband. Oh, just listen? Kind of reminds me of this video. You might have seen it.
It's just,
video
there's all this
eventually come
pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's gonna stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever gonna stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See,
out.
you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. Ow. If you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my...
Just give me a hammer with a claw and I got it, man. I got this thing solved. Okay, a couple more real fast. You want to communicate better? Learn to speak in the language of the person you're speaking to. What does that mean? Chinese? No. That means Dr. Gary Chapman has come up with these 5 love languages. And this, if you're dating, if you're a friend, if you're a schoolmate, if you're married, 5 love languages. We all have our own language that we most speak, that we most respond to. And just to remind you, if you haven't heard this or haven't heard it in a while, words of affirmation is one language, quality time, gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So here's the point. If my wife's love language is words of affirmation, but mine is physical touch, I want to communicate in my language. That means not the same to her that it means to me. And if hers is words of affirmation, and that's not something that's on my list of needs, I might not say it in a way that she would hear it. You will hear in the language that you love. Understand your language. And they say you have a primary and a secondary. But if you speak the language you speak in and you wonder why they're not responding, because that's not their language, you want to communicate, discover their language, use that. 4th thing, when you're communicating and you don't understand, it is the perfect time to be rude and go, "Son, can I interrupt you? You lost me. So it was your uncle and your aunt?" No, it was my dad. And, "Oh, okay, yeah, because I got on the wrong track. I couldn't follow." It's the one time that you can interrupt somebody and they're going, "Thank you for interrupting, because I don't want to tell this whole story and you didn't understand a word of it." If you're not tracking, just ask a clarifying question. Just go, "Wait, hang on, are you saying," and then go there. And then lastly, just simply repeat back what you heard. Because if you repeat, so this is what I heard. I heard what you said was, well, close, but just with this new, "Oh, okay, yeah." And folks, you'd be surprised. Now, listen, we're out of time. I'm going to pray and we'll be done. I just want to challenge you to do something. And do it or not, it's up to you. I want to challenge you to walk out of here and think deeply about what we just talked about. I know it's not a typical Bible study we do. It's not a typical Sunday morning. I get all that. But it's truth from the Word of God that we need to apply. So walk out of here and just go, "You know what I think I struggle with? You know what I think?" And then the second part, I want you to think about it. The second part, this is the hard part. I want you to ask somebody who knows you well, how well do you communicate? Now here's what you want to do. You want to ask yourself the question and answer it yourself. You're not qualified. Somebody who knows you and loves you and who you trust and who you will respond to. If you set the stage, they will tell you, honey, you do this over and over again. You don't see it, you don't understand it. It's a blind spot, but if you're asking me if you could do this, you would communicate so much more effectively. Don't walk out of here the exact same person you walked in. Walk out better, be better. And your ability to listen and communicate is going to determine the quality of the relationships and the richness of which you have. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but bad communication, help me. Bad communication destroys good relationships. You will not be the exception. Value your relationships by communicating. So, with that said, let's rise to our feet. Let's rise wherever we are. Hey, if you're at home, get off that chair, get up. Hey, I want to, before I pray and we'll dismiss, I want to say one more time, thanks for being here. Thanks for being there wherever you are. Thanks for being wherever you are. And man, it's seriously, it's good to be together. How long has it been since you've invited somebody? Invite somebody to church. You'd be surprised how many people right now are so wide open to Jesus. We're seeing a movement happening. Be a part of it. Invite your friends. So let me pray. When I'm done praying, if you want to pray more personally, you want to pray more privately with somebody, we'll have some people down here whose only interest is in helping you walk more closely to Jesus. They're not interested in prying into your life. They're interested in praying into your life. And they'll be down front here. So if you want that, you come on down and we'll go that way. You come this way and they'll be waiting for you. So let me pray and we'll be done. So God, thank you for this day. Thanks for this church. Thanks for these people that make this church what it is. God, we pray that you would just continue to bless the way you've been blessing. God, thank you for the many, many wonderful things that you have blessed us as a church with, and all the people. We just talked about the world vision and all these children. God, there's so many good things. We praise you for who you are. And Lord, help us now as we go out to take this and start thinking about it, begin to apply it. God, we're going to speak, and we need to learn how to do that. And we're going to listen. We need to learn how to do that. All of us were kids. We started, but we have a long way to go. We could do better. So help us, Father, to do that. And I pray for this, and I thank you for this in Jesus' name. Amen.